It was totally crazy and probably stupid.
Who were you before this, and what got you into starting your channel?
Oh, I have so many different answers to that question.
Okay, hi everyone. Today I am so excited to say that I'm welcoming John to the podcast from the Flipping Physics channel. If you know, you know. If you've been there late at night studying for a physics test, watching these YouTube videos, or you just didn't understand a physics concept, Flipping Physics just makes it so easy and interesting to understand physics in a way that makes you curious. And that's why I'm excited to welcome John to the podcast. Thank you so much for being here. It's so crazy that I'm actually talking to you.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. This is great. This is fun.
Yeah. I guess my first question, and I think I speak on behalf of a lot of your listeners or your watchers, is, like what what got you into YouTube? Who were you before this, and what got you into starting your channel?
Oh, I have so many different answers to that question. Um, oh gosh. So, you know what? I'm going to start here. I'm going to go all the way back to summer of 1999,
Oh, okay.
when I was just starting a 1 year master's program where you do get your master's degree, your teaching certificate, and your student teaching done. And it was the first month of that in July, and they gave us an assignment that I thought was the dumbest assignment that they could have given us. It was a holistic, like all year long project that we're supposed to be doing, which was to teach yourself something you've always wanted to learn. And I was just like, I, I was like, we are so busy in this program. Like, I didn't have any time for anything, but I was like, fine, I will do this. One thing I've always been interested in is video editing because at that point I'd never done any. I mean, it was it was 1999. In order to do video editing, I bought a book on how to learn Final Cut Express, and there were only two computers in the education department that could actually edit video. And so I would have to go to the library where they had one computer, and I would check out cameras because I didn't have a camera. And I taught myself how to do video editing. And in fact, in in December of 1999, my fiance and I, whom I'm now married to, we made what we called a very, 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 very bad horror flick as a part of the assignment to just like make something, edit some sort of video. And what's really funny about that is I went back and looked at it about a year ago, and in that, my wife plays two different characters, a good character and a bad character, and there are two scenes where they're on the screen at the same time.
Whoa, that's the
So,
original.
so, so
Whoa.
yeah, so like this has been something that I've been like thinking about and working with for like more than 20 years. I just found that hilarious. Um, so that's like where I started learning to edit videos. And at that, I mean, and actually, and I will give credit to the professors at the University of Michigan who assigned that because in the end, it was such a good assignment. I learned how to video edit it. I used it. If you can do this in school, you should definitely do it. I used it for uh, two different two different assignments in addition to that singular assignment, and I used it to create a 10-minute teaching video where I edited and spliced in like me teaching students doing a project, all sorts of different things, and I made 20 VHS copies of this tape, and I sent it to schools, and that's how I got my first teaching job is
Whoa.
because a teacher or a principal. I'm sorry, I'm giving way too long of an answer, but whatever. A principal at one school liked me, but they didn't have a position for me, so he sent the VHS copy to a principal at another school in another school district, and they called me up and asked me to interview. Anyway, so realize that sometimes when you don't understand why an assignment is being given, that like it turns out being something really useful because in the end, the skills that I learned that I started to learn then, I've continued to just hone, and it ended up being my job, right? Like, which I find hilarious. It started with something that I really did not, an assignment that I thought was just dumb.
Yeah, don't you love it when school prepares you for your job? Yeah, that's awesome.
Like it actually did, which was
Yeah,
great.
like that's so
Um,
surprising.
so a more direct genesis though is like I mean, when I started, so I started flipping my classes in 2012, I think, and I just could not find the videos I wanted to use to flip my classes. So what I was actually using, and you can still find this on YouTube, from 2010, I think, through 2011, I filmed every single lecture I gave in my classes, and I put them on YouTube on Thomas Palmer Physics. So they're still there and they're awful. They're just like from the back of the room, me lecturing in class. You could almost see the board, but like people were using them to learn in 2012. And so in 2013, when I was flipping my classes and using those videos, I was like, I can do this better. And so I asked my wife, can I had a 3 day weekend between semesters and I was like, can I take Friday, Saturday, and Sunday? You can you please, be the main caretaker of our kids who were 2 and 4 at the time. Um, oh no, I'm sorry, they were a little bit older, but what, it doesn't matter. Anyway, and so I spent 30 hours that weekend making 3 videos. Um, and those are the first 3 flipping physics videos. And I got enough positive response from that that I actually left my teaching job in 2013 and started flipping physics.
Whoa, whoa. So
Yeah.
just those first three videos are enough to like go full into YouTube.
It was totally crazy and probably stupid because I had this idea that like I could make these videos and I could post them online on YouTube and I would make enough money to call it a full-time job, and that was not true at all. Such that in January 2015, I went back into the classroom, but from 2015 to 2024, I was a part-time teacher. So I taught essentially 2 days a week, and the other 3 days a week I was flipping physics. So yeah, so
Whoa.
it was actually that getting that part-time job made it so I was able to, I mean, so I was able to do this because otherwise, like, there's no way I could be a full-time teacher and make these videos. They take a really long time to make. But I really love making them, and I could talk about how I make them more.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, these are incredibly high production videos. Like, for those of you watching who don't realize, there are sometimes three people showing up on the screen at the same time who are simulating different, like, student reactions to the same question. And then the teacher has to go along with those reactions and then explain the question. And there's like a whole storyline to it. So, how do you, as one person, really like achieve all of this, like basically a movie in one video, and explain the physics behind it?
Well, I mean, so it starts with a script. Well, actually, it starts with lecture notes. Like I sit down and I write out detailed lecture notes. Hopefully, when there's a demo or an animation, I create that beforehand, and then I take the lecture notes and I sit down and I write the script. And at this point, it's hilarious when I sit down when I sit down to write the script, and I've got Billy, Bobby, and Bo, my 3 students. I can hear their voices in my head as I'm typing them because like I mean it's been 13 years I think. Like they now each have their own individual personalities and like
Yeah.
different ways of answering questions. So like literally it's a script because everything has to be scripted because as you pointed out, like there's interaction between everybody. And like the three students, Billy, Bobby, and Bo, are always on the screen at the same time. So like they need to interact with one another. So it all comes down to having everything be a detailed script. But then I film and like it I estimate it takes me roughly 2 hours of work for every minute of video. Um, And what I think people find surprising is I would say 5% of that time is filming. Like,
Whoa. Yeah.
yeah, right. Like I don't spend that much time filming. In fact, I used to do everything, every take. I would do 2 takes of everything. About 3 or 4 years ago, I realized I don't need to do that. I do 1 take of everything, and then I import it all, and I find maybe 1 or 2 things that I don't like that I did and I refilm those. But I used to do like much longer filming, but like I don't film that much anymore. Really, the majority of my time, there's a whole bunch of front-loaded time with the lecture note and the scripts. Actually, I should mention as well, about 8 or 9 years ago, I started fellow teachers volunteer their time to be my quality control team. So I write the lecture notes, then I write the script, then I put out some Google Docs, and I have fellow teachers who volunteer their time to look over them and either find mistakes or give suggestions. And so then I take their suggestions and I make a few tweaks. Then I film everything. Then I edit everything, and it's the editing that takes the longest amount of time. Um, and then after I've completely edited it, then my wife watches every single video. So I need to give her credit. She's watched every single video. And then I post the video to my quality control team, and they look it over for any, again, hopefully no suggestions, because at that point it's really hard to change anything, but to see if there are any mistakes. Yeah, so it's a long process, but I really enjoy it. I consider it all like it's a giant puzzle. Like I'm always trying to figure out what's the best way I can present this material. Like one of my favorites is um, so there was a lecture that I always did in class where it was like I would always take some student and I would be like, you're the name of student and we're flying you in a plane or whatever, and you a helicopter usually, and you drop a water balloon on Mr. P's minivan, right? And so it was this concept where you can just do physics to predict exactly where you need to drop it so it'll land in the minivan. It's a basic projectile motion problem. But I realized early on that this is actually a demonstration we could do, but I was never able to do it. I never thought that I could do it in the classroom. So what I did when I was flipping physics, is I took my kids and my wife and we went to the parking lot of the local high school, and we filmed us doing that where I'm driving along, my wife is driving, and I'm in the passenger side holding a water balloon, and there's a bucket, and I drop it outside of the water balloon, and you could see the parabolic path, and you could see it land right in the bucket, right? And it's so cool that like I took this thing that used to be just this hypothetical demonstration or hypothetical problem that we would do in class, and we make it into something that's a demonstration and can show it for real. And what surprised me about 5 or 6 years ago is then teachers who saw that video then started doing it with their students.
Oh wow, that's
So
insane. Yeah.
I've had teachers send me videos of them doing this demonstration, which is just like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's so validating. It's so fun.
No, I mean, I think the impact runs so much deeper because I think teachers will just play your videos instead of teaching a lesson at times because it's like you teach like the entire concept of like static friction or something, like the introduction to
Mhm.
static friction, or you'll teach, like that's my other question. How did you come up with video ideas? Did you start from, like the AP curriculum or something? Or like where did you know where to start with like your ideas?
Okay, I will answer your question, but first I'm gonna nitpick on terminology. So there's an there's a concept of teaching and there's a concept of lecturing, and I think that a lot of people conflate the two. So there is a lecture, but a teacher is someone who helps you understand the material. But a lot of people, when they think of a teacher, they think of a lecturer, right? So when
Yeah.
you say teachers show my videos, yes, they're using my videos to lecture to their students in the same way that you might assign a textbook for a student to read, right? But here you're assigning a video. And then the teacher, then because they can assign this video and they don't have to take the time to actually do the lecturing, that produces more time in the classroom where the teacher can actually help students when they're struggling. So I think it's an important distinction to make. And it's actually a terminology I still run into sometimes, is to conflate the term teach and lecture. Okay. So your question, like, where do the ideas for the videos come from? So honestly, for the first 5 or 6 years, 7 years maybe, I was literally taking those videos that I talked about where I was lecturing in class, and I had all those lecture notes in those videos. And so I would look at those, I would take those videos that I had done in class and say, okay, how can I do this better? Right? So there's sometimes it was exactly what I just talked about, right? Like this was something, it was just a paper demonstration, but now we can actually physically go out and do this demonstration. Sometimes it was almost word for word. There are a couple where I basically just did exactly what I did in class. But then there are others where like you can do so many things that you couldn't do, like the ballistic pendulum. I love that. Like I was able to take and build a little contraption where like with a blow dart, I could have the blow dart run into the block, which is hanging on strings, and then have that block swing up. And from how far it swings up, you can actually calculate how fast the blow dart was moving. And because I filmed it at 960 frames per second, we can slow it down and we can actually see it moving. And you can go through and you can actually calculate and see how close you are. And um, what the relative error is, and usually it ends up being pretty low. But sometimes it doesn't, which is very interesting because it's fun to talk through like what are we making assumptions that actually aren't that cause a lot of error in things because sometimes that does work out. But I think what sometimes I don't fully anticipate is how difficult it's going to be to take it from something that's a problem in a textbook, which is the ballistic pendulum, to something that you actually do. Because what I ran into was A, it was hard to get the dart to strike near the middle of the block because it has to strike near the middle of the block. Because if it strikes off center, then you're going to cause torque on the block and the whole
Oh
block is
yeah.
going to rotate, which is going to be bad. Plus, then it has to swing up uh, like in a straight line in a two-dimensional plane, which ends up being an issue. So I had to figure out how to do the strings for that. Anyway, these are all things that again, like I talked through, like I love the puzzle of trying to figure it all out. And I love being able to make it something that other teachers can use and students can use to learn stuff. Um,
Yeah.
but it is a very strange job because I don't generally interact with anyone.
Oh,
It's just me.
I mean, you do have your quality control team, right?
Right,
Like,
but I don't usually interact with them, right? Like I'll post
oh
a
yeah.
Google Doc and they will make comments
Hmm.
and that's it. So
Yeah.
it's
I mean,
like
it's
like
such a
there
cool. Yeah.
yeah.
No,
But
yeah.
like there are times when I'm sitting in the basement and I'm filming and I'm either Billy, Bobby, or Bo, and they actually spend roughly, half of their time, maybe a little bit more, where they're just staring into space.
Oh yeah. One of them is always just on their desk, kind of like
Yeah.
just
But
doing
so
something.
like every time I have to act that, and so often I'm like thinking to myself, this is my job.
Yeah.
Like I sit and I stare at the wall as
Yeah.
and Bobby's got his mouth open.
Yeah. No, it's
And Billy's
crazy
got
how
his
they all
annoying
work.
voice. I find that I do
Oh,
get people who get annoyed by Billy's voice, though.
really? I think
Yeah,
it's
I've
cool
I've
that they
heard
all
it.
have different like personalities too. Like how deep you go into their characters. Like they must have like inside jokes by now or something. Like there must be
They
like
Yeah,
connections.
they do.
Yeah.
And you do need to give credit to my wife again because she's the one who pushed me to really have more personalities with them. She would
Oh, really?
early, well, really, like early on, she was like this is good. She also had a lot of it. Bo sometimes can be a real jerk. So I've worked really hard to make Bo not be a jerk, and just kind of, I don't know, maybe, oh, what's a good word for Bo? He's a little bit arrogant, but he's not a jerk.
Yeah, I see
I've
that.
I've I've also tried really hard to avoid stereotypes. Like if you watch, Billy's not just the smart one, right? And Bo, even though he's got his mouth hanging open most of the time and he's looks like he's very confused, sometimes he has just gems where he understands something that the other two don't. And I love it when they get into arguments about who's right, and then like both of them end up being right or both of them end up being wrong. Anyway, I really enjoy
Yeah.
that.
No, yeah.
And
I think
I
that's
go,
no, no,
go
no.
ahead.
No, go ahead. Yeah.
And I honestly I never know what's going to be funny or not because like I just make it so that I think it's funny and hope for the best.
Yeah. No, I think that's such a unique, like, creative, like, I don't know, like, creative, what's it called? Like, cycle, like, process. Like, I, like, what you were saying earlier, like, who has a job where they kind of like, they pretend to be like all these different characters and then film, produce, edit, script write to create, like, also like a teaching experience? Like, I think it's such a unique project that also has continued over so many years. Yeah, I guess one of my questions was kind of like in your like life where you're kind of deciding, okay, you're I've made this many videos, like I've completed the AP curriculum, I've done this. I notice a lot of your videos are kind of like, oh, maybe like correcting something from the past, or like I remember one of your videos was about that. Like, how do you come across things like this to kind of address and like take the time to like reflect on, I guess, when you've already made like millions of videos, I guess.
So I've completed AP Physics 1. I've completed AP Physics C Mechanics. I've completed AP Physics C Electricity and Magnetism. But I went through over the summer. I took the time to go through with a fine-tooth comb, and I found there are actually roughly 100 videos I want to make to kind of fill in the nooks and crannies in those three curricula. And I'm currently working on AP Physics 2. And I'm like a third of the way through AP Physics 2. Um, so like I've got all those videos I need to make, but then independently, I'll tell you this one. This is kind of fun. So I watched with my wife, um, Come See Me in the Good Light, which is a documentary about two women who are married, and one of them, they're both poets. They're both spoken word poets, and one of them is dying of cancer, and it's their story. And so I was watching this, and I was like, I bet I could do an assignment for Billy, Bobby, and Bo where they have to create spoken word poems about physics as like the end of the year, like I don't know, project or something. And that's bumbling around in my head. Like I try to sometimes do things that are just not at all like your standard physics video. And I really enjoy making those. They don't generally do very well because they don't get assigned. But anyway, I enjoy making them. And honestly, I have all these ideas. I would love to make an astronomy lecture series of videos. But like the list of videos that I want to make grows faster than I can make them.
Yeah, that makes
Like
sense.
sometimes I'll just see something like like I was at a stream the other day. Well, actually, it was a year and a half ago. I was at it's still the other day. I was at a stream and I was looking at it. I was like, I was watching the leaves and I was like, oh, this is fluids. This is the continuity equation of mass flow rate, of volume flow rate. And I was like, you can literally see it with the leaves, right? So that ended up becoming a flipping physics video, but it happened because I happened to be on a walk and I was watching leaves on the water.
Yeah. I just had a random quick question. Do you
Yeah,
still use Final Cut to edit? I'm
yeah.
curious.
Well, oh right, I started on Final Cut Express. Now I
Yeah.
use Final Cut Pro, but yeah, yep,
Oh, wow, cool. Yeah,
yeah.
there's so much you can achieve on Final Cut. That's insane.
Oh yeah, like I do most of my animations in Final Cut, basically just taking things and moving around. I'll create a lot of the visuals in Illustrator, but then I will animate them in Final Cut. But I also do a lot of like motion tracking. Like for simple harmonic motion, I literally filmed an object moving at a constant velocity in a circle on top of a record player with a dot in the middle of it, and I motion tracked that, and then I motion tracked a dot, isolating just the
Oh,
x
wow.
coordinate, and it moves back and forth in simple harmonic motion. And if you watch my waves and sound, you're going to see like I just kept taking that singular dot moving back and forth and used it over and over again to show so many things in simple harmonic motion. Yeah, uh like it's been cool to like I taught myself so many things like animated GIFs and uh, all these different things. It's crazy. It's fun.
Yeah. I mean, I guess beyond making your videos, I feel like you've also created this kind of like brand for yourself and this like your channel, your website, etc. So like what like brought you to like create all of that and also your resources that you have, like the notes and stuff on your website. Um yeah, what
Well,
brought
first off, I trademarked flipping physics in 2013.
Oh wow, that was pretty early, yeah.
I don't know. I was
You
like,
were set on flipping physics.
I was like, this is my business. I'm going to trademark it. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
funny. I trademarked it in 2013. Yeah. So the question is like, why did I decide to do all this? I'm not really sure what the question is. Like,
Yeah. Like, what made you realize, okay, I need to do this in order to get, like, what made you not to just go straight to only YouTube, but like you kind of also.
oh, okay. So realize this is all built off of what I needed as a teacher. So I actually, when I first started filming myself lecturing in like 2011, I did not use YouTube. I tried to avoid using YouTube for a long time because I don't like the commercialization of it.
Mhm.
Um, and I still don't, but it's kind of neither here nor there at this point. There are so many different um, video sharing platforms. So I started by just having a website. Actually, I mean, in the early 90s, I taught myself HTML to create websites. I
Oh,
created a
really?
website for the summer camp I worked at. Um, to share pictures and do surveys and all sorts of things. So, but like it's always been about the teaching and what I need as a teacher. So like I mean I started with a website in fall of 2000, my first summer teaching. My school district didn't have any way to do websites. So again, I used this skill of using HTML to create a website where I could share my students' grades and worksheet solutions and all those things. So as a teacher in 2011, 2012, when I was working on this, it all made sense to create all the lecture notes and share all the videos and eventually I was using them with my students because if a student was absent, they could watch the video. I didn't have to like reteach it to them. Um, and it's all fallen from there. In the end, YouTube was a much better way to share the videos, much more uniform. Um, yeah, I mean, at one point, I was just handing out flash drives to students with the videos on them, and they would I had 10 of them, and they would give them back, and
Oh my God.
yeah. Well, but like this was very early on, and like it was really hard to like the web was much slower, and it was much harder to share things. So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I guess my last question for you, before we run out of time, is just like for all the people watching this video who are probably watchers of your channel, most likely, who've seen you teach physics for so long and are probably currently taking a physics class right now or pursuing something in physics. I guess what's your advice to them to, I don't know, either become like get more interested into physics personally or just like in life?
Okay. Well, I mean, in order to get more interested in physics, you just need to do more physics because the more you do it, the more you understand the more you see it in your everyday life, and the more you understand how much you don't understand. Like, I think that's the coolest part of learning more and more about a particular topic. Like, I mean, I could tell you, I mean, I have flipping physics and I have like 85 hours or something or videos. And then there's all sorts of topics that I wish I knew better in physics, right? Like and I'm interested in it and sometimes I take the time to learn it. So like honestly, the more you learn, the more you're going to be interested in it is how I feel.
Yeah.
Um, as far as advice, just recognize how much learning happens through failure. I mean, really, if you aren't failing, you're not learning, right? Because a part, like if you already understand it, then there's no reason for you to learn it. So the whole concept of learning, of trying hard topics is you are learning things and you're going to fail as you move along through those. So don't get down on yourself for not understanding things. Just keep working at it, honestly.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I think I'll take that with me in my next physics test, hopefully. If I fail that one. Just kidding. It was so nice to have you on this podcast. You're honestly such an expressive and interesting person to talk to, and your videos have seriously impacted me as a person and probably a lot of the people watching this video. So, yeah, thank you for the stuff you do. Thank you, like, for how many years you've been doing this. It's, like, incredible. Like, from before I was born, probably you've had this and you've been doing this. So, yeah, it's incredible. Thank you so much for being here and talking about the stuff that you do.
Rhea, thank you so much. That means so much to me.